This con
Good morning. This is the Mitchell County Board of Supervisors meeting. We're at the courthouse in Osage. The meeting is available virtually by GoToMeeting also. There's an agenda in front of us. If there's no corrections, I'll accept the motion to approve it.
I'll go make that motion.
Brian makes a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Mayor seconds. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Approved minutes of the August 1st, 2023 meeting and the claims. If there's no corrections needed, I'll accept the motion for that.
Make a motion for August 1st meeting and plan.
Anderson makes the motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Pardo seconds. Any further discussion? Hearing none.
Roll call, Mark.
Aye.
Cindy, Jim.
Aye.
Pat.
Aye. County Attorney General discussion. Aaron is not available at the moment here. Sheriff's update.
Good morning, everyone. I guess I don't have much. The weekend was pretty good. We had a few complaints from citizens in Riceville about law enforcement presence during their Wapsie Day celebration, but it was a safe, family-friendly Saturday, so State Patrol was around and assisted just in having a presence. So anyway, if you get a few calls from any of the city leaders, I asked for them to be up here, and they said a trooper. So it wasn't like we overwhelmed the place. We don't do that, but we have to make it a safe event for everyone. So it went well.
Their concern was lack of presence or over presence.
Too many policemen, too many cops. Yeah.
Okay.
How many was Howard?
I don't know how many they had. No idea.
But this one state patrol.
Yep, and then my day shift deputy and then my night deputies were around, but I have the whole county to take care of. So anyway, it went well. Nobody got arrested Saturday night, so that was the goal. There was no car accidents, and everybody, I think, had a pretty good time. The park was full. So they either like us when we're around or don't like us because we're not around. So anyway, send those complaints my way and I'll talk to them if I think it's appropriate. I don't have anything else. Fair was good. A lot of people there, so that was a good week for everybody at the fair. So if you have questions for me, I'll answer them.
They like you when they need you.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
It's been my experience. We have to make sure those events are safe for everyone, not just the select few, I guess. So that's what we do. So anyway, that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you very much. Department head discussion. Is there any department head discussion? Rich is the department head here or anybody online?
I see that.
Okay, guess we're good with that. County engineer update.
Our phones are on the fritz again, so I don't know why our line 1 doesn't accept calls, but we can dial out. Our line 2 can go both ways. We had OMU out yesterday. We'll have them out to get a day to figure out what's going on. So we have the 2080 agreement on the agenda to discuss for the grant. We still don't have the final numbers, so we'll keep it on the agenda, Rachel, for next week too, because they want to turn the grant in on the 18th, which is next week. So the rest of this week and next week are going to be really hard pressed to get the final numbers in. We've done a lot already to submit it. We've got some support letters from the locals. So we've been turning the documents in when I get them done. Probably some things we need to finish up yet, but we did finalize, or I did finalize, it's almost like the way we're doing it, it's almost like pre-designing a project before you know you have the grant funding. So it's running estimates, and we did some boring in town. I had, actually Kroll came in, they had a core machine, and for free, we bored a few holes at Stacyville to find out what we had in there for pavement. So that was kind of nice of them to come in there to do that for us, so we could get a better idea of what we need to do through what we have for base underneath the road. So we've been doing some of that, trying to get a lot of our documentation done for getting this information. I'm thinking this week they'll send out a preliminary draft of the grant so we can work on that. There's still some numbers we've got to round up yet, but we did increase the price of the project by about $100,000 or so, a little bit more. I revamped some things. It brought some prices down, brought some up, but what I did was I added the S curves from the bridge on the east side to go past the conservation. It didn't make much sense to leave that section alone when we've had the other road done a while back and then trying to do something new here and then leaving that. It's not terrible, but there's some spots we can improve on. And if part of the grant is to get people to the new park, it makes sense that we're going to include that in the project. And so the only thing I really have to do is when we do our program and budget for next year, just upgrade the limits of the project. And so I think we'll be okay there. But that way we get everything done. So
there'd be a sidewalk or something?
well, we didn't include that in the plans yet because I think beyond that, once you get off the bridge, it's going to be, I don't know what conservation wants to do, but I mean, I think for all intents and purposes that we could add a sidewalk later to it. I don't think it's going to help the grant at all to do anything like that, but might be a good time to get with conservation to decide what they want to do, because really that sidewalk is a dead end sidewalk until you start walking. I know they got their grass trail through all that, but we could maybe sell the fact that for ADA, it would be nice to have a hard surface type of thing there, but we can try to sell that later too. So it could be an afterthought. It wouldn't have to be part of the grant specifically, but
Or even a paved shoulder or something,
Right. Maybe I should reconsider that. Maybe
It'd be nice for the park.
I don't know if I could make that. Let me do some checking with the grant people. Maybe I don't like to keep adding stuff to the concept, but maybe we could sell that.
We're not the high number in the grant anyway. There's something wrong with 8.
We're close.
Well, we're
but
getting there, but we're not
Right,
yet.
right.
So, I mean,
So-
the sidewalk's not gonna push it there.
So anyway, we'll talk about the grant thing next week for sure, because we don't have those final construction numbers yet. The contractor for the bridge over by 105 finally mowed back in. They were gone for most of the week last week. I think they were finishing a project in Minnesota. Now that they're done, they're going to be in full force here. So they're going to start doing coffer dam construction and starting to work on, getting everything ready for pile driving on that project. The paving, they finished up in Worth County yesterday, the asphalt, and then they've got to mobilize out and go to a project in Minnesota. Then they'll be back either late this week or maybe even next week to finish up ours. As far as the paving goes, I don't have any other updates on shouldering or painting yet, but that's where the construction is for now. So, and I'm going to call later on today to find out where our annual road striping project is. The contractor was awarded, but I'm sure they're pretty busy. I thought they were going to be in the end of July, but here we are, early August, and we haven't heard anything from them yet. So we'll find out. I think it's the one from Little League, Camline, I think.
Camline?
Yeah, so I'm sure they're small.
They're pretty reliable.
They are. So I'll just touch base with them to find out where everything's at. So that's all I've got for you this morning.
All right. Questions
So we'll
for the
just
engineer?
wait on that grant, but I'm sure there's gonna be a lot of email communication the next 2 weeks to get that grant, so it's gonna consume a lot of time yet for me, but we'll get it done and fingers crossed we get something out of it.
Is that just, you probably have said this, but is that just for the state of Iowa we're competing with, or are we competing with other states?
We're competing nationwide,
Okay.
and what was I think the bridge one that we applied for, the bridge one wasn't part of the BIL, the bill grant. That was just a raised grant, which is standard. But out of over 1,000 applications, our application made it in the state of Iowa. So we're hoping that we can justify a lot with this one's probably more competitive than maybe it's not more competitive. It just seems like the maximum grant amount for any one application, and I think maybe it's even for the state, is $25 million. So what we do is we try to get as much, we don't want one application in the state of Iowa to get a 25, we don't have a $25 million project that we could do unless we did multiple bridges and roads at one time. But in order to make it effective and say, hey, look, we've got $25 million worth of needs in the state of Iowa. We group a bunch of counties together, and so the grant maximum is 25 billion, but we've got $37 million worth of project in that $25 million because it's a 75% match. So, you know, rough rounding, if you want to round up to $40 million for 25 million, I mean, it shows a need, but we're competing with everybody else in the country too, so.
So we competed possibly with Des Moines, if they wanted to redo interstate through Des Moines.
Not on this grant.
But
This is
But they could participate or?
not the way this grant is funded. It's for farm to market routes.
Okay.
So it's more geared toward county and local.
Right.
And it was targeted for farm to market routes through smaller communities. So,
Like, was it under 500 people or?
well, I think that's where it was because of that's the ones we targeted for under 500, but some of them are actually, well, yeah, like, so I think it's Howard and Chickasaw are going through, it's not Elma, I don't think, but they've got a shared project, which is why you only see, I think you only see Chickasaw in the application there because they've got their own 2080 agreement that Chickasaw is going to be the lead, but Howard County is still involved just on the backside with the project to go through. So everybody's trying to go through a community that's under 500 to upgrade their main roads through town. So, but it's competitive. Hopefully, like I said, we have a good case here to submit, and if not, we'll submit next year. I think they'll continue to do that. But the nice thing about if we don't get it this year and we submit next year, at least we know where we're at and improve our claim next year. We'll see what happens. Hopefully.
Thank you for working on all that.
It's a lot of, you're almost designing the project before you even really know what you have, but trying to get, they want some really detailed numbers. So I think I've brought the total combined project with engineering up to about 7.5 million. I think before it was like 7.3 something. So we increased it a little bit, but we added more to it. But we've really zeroed in on the east leg that goes to the bridge going out of town there. We were gonna, just tentatively thinking, well, because of what we don't know we have under there for utilities and asphalt overlay, but I backed some things out, changed some things around, and actually it barely increased the cost of that section to go with a 6-inch concrete pavement, as long as we've got everything figured out as far as bases and everything else. So all in all, we'll pull asphalt out, add some concrete, and then added the S-curve, which is where most of the other increase was, but at least we covered that whole area.
You're gonna rubbleize the concrete on the east side of the bridge, or you're gonna just
We might-
overlay it, or
We
what?
might overlay it with a fabric,
Okay.
see how those curves do with raising grades and getting transition back into the park, but I think we can make it work with an overlay versus rubbleizing.
Okay.
So, and same with coming in from the west. Until we get into town, we got really good pavement right at the city limits there. There's not a whole lot. When you start getting in town where all the utilities are, that's when it starts really getting rough. But even if we can raise the road a little bit, if we do a 6-inch overlay, we can actually make our swale to get the water away from the road. A lot of times the water just runs down the edge of the road because the ditches run it toward the edge. The water off the road runs toward the edge, and now you're cutting a gully right on the edge of the pavement. But if we can build it up and get a swale in there, we can push the water back toward the middle of the ditch where it belongs, and then we're not scouring out right next to our road all the time. Hopefully that helps. But, so that's the goal. And of course, I think initially I was gonna rebuild all the way through town, but with the curb and gutter sections ending right about at Bowix, there's no sense in completely rebuilding it when we can mill out 3 inches and put 6 inches of concrete back, and then we're only raising the grade 3 inches, getting it out of town and still having a really good structure underneath it. So we're good to go that way. That's the plan. So, but we'll just see if the grant comes through for us.
Any questions for the engineer? Thank you. All right. Thanks, Greg. Approved liquor license for Lucky White Wine Slushies. So, his name of business is what I just said, Lucky White Wine Slushies. The address of the premises is at 1642 395th Street in St. Ansgar, City of St. Ansgar. contact person is listed on the application. This is a special permit where it's just a 5-day permit. It's a Class C retail alcohol license.
Make a motion to approve the liquor license.
Henriksen makes a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Harto seconds. Any further discussion? Hearing none?
Roll call, Tom,
Aye.
Jim,
Aye.
Sydney, Mike,
Aye.
Mark.
Right. Discussion and possible action on fireworks permit. This has basically been approved because, as the minutes read, we approved pending insurance, and the individual did provide their insurance. So this has already been done. Am I correct in saying that? You guys?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Approved treasurer's semi-annual report. So this is certified July 19th of 23. It's for the dates of July 1st, 23 to June 30th of 23. Outstanding warrants. Auditors warrants outstanding amounted to $327,320.99. Our treasurer Shannon Paulus has signed this to certify it. Another sheet is assets in hands of county treasurer at close of business on June 30th, 2023. Treasurer's net balance was $10,529,093.07. Cash in the drawer was $17,802.06. Certificates of deposit were $2,251,785.80. Total cash on hand and in the banks is $12,798,680.93. Assets in hands of the county treasurers at close as of June 30th, 23. Total amount on deposit is $10,529,093.07. I'll accept a motion to approve the treasurer's semi-annual report.
I'll make a motion to approve the semi-annual report.
Berto makes a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Mayor seconds that. Any further discussion? Hearing none.
Roll call, Tom,
Aye.
Mark,
Aye.
Mike,
Aye.
Sydney, Jim.
Aye. Okay. Discussion and possible action on contract 24-HQJP-001 between A to Z Drying, Mitchell County, and IEDA. So as far as the contract, there's a few things that still need to be edited within it. So there's nothing for us to approve on that today. Still got to be some work done on it. And we'll approve it through resolution when that comes about. I did attend a city council meeting last night to get, since the parcel is within 2-mile boundary of the city limits of Osage, it's required by code that the city signs off on an agreement that they're okay with us doing a TIF rebate for A to Z in this process. They signed that resolution last night. It's not on our agenda to approve it today, but we'll get on the agenda for next week so that we approve it also, and that's where we're at with it right now. So there's no action to be done on this contract at this time. Is there any questions about anything? Okay. Rich.
I got one more thought on this. I forgot to sticking it on my desk this morning. We've been asked to possibly participate in that farm safety thing again this year at the fairgrounds. If you guys are okay with it, we'll send a dump truck and a motor every year again. A couple operators to talk to the kids if you guys feel that's a good thing.
Everybody okay with that?
Yeah.
Okay. That's a good thing. I'll let her know. Thank you.
Thank you.
Items of note, meetings attended. Well, as I said, I went to the city council meeting last night. resolution signed. They introduced the new officer that will be for city officer. Just general business for city stuff last night. So that's all I had.
I went to Des Moines last week and got voted on to be on the legislative committee board for ISACs. So that meeting went good and learned a lot. Got a lot of proposal requests, and I will be attending the annual meeting.
Your schedule has just gotten busier.
They said to plan on at least twice a month in Des Moines, so be very busy.
Very good. I didn't have anything.
Nothing for me. I had the fair board, meeting at the fairgrounds every day. I think it, turned out very well.
Can we call those meetings?
Yeah, I think it went over very well with the free fair, and I think they're gonna try it again next year and make sure this was for real, so. Yeah, it was very well attended.
I was there 3 times and every time it was busy. Activity all over.
And I don't think there was one little issue, or I shouldn't say little, but other than that, I think that was pretty trouble-free, wasn't it?
Yeah, I would agree with you. You get that many people together, you're going to have one or two stuff out on, but even so, it wasn't a major situation, and so it was a successful week. It was good.
Yeah. Fireworks show was awesome, and all the events were really good.
Yeah, I talked to a couple individuals, and I think they went over the dollar amount that
For the
was
fireworks.
proposed, and but that's just the way they are, locals, and they I think they did a little extra for them. So that was it.
Okay. Manure management plan update.
Primrose Saddle Farm, 4417 Primrose Avenue, Little Cedar. Rock Tank, Fisher Farm, 4437 Underwood Avenue, Riceville. And Maple Lawn Corp. LLC, 2020 490th Street, Mansfield.
Okay. Public comments. Any comments from the public? Okay. Hearing none, I will adjourn the meeting.